Hey, this is Rick Kaselj, injury specialist from exercisesforinjuries.com. In today's video, I wanted to go through effective new hip strengthening exercises. So there's 5 of them. Jenna's going to go through the first one, and then I'll explain it in detail and then show you the other 4. There you go. So that one is the first one. So lateral leg lifts. So you're in a standing position, nice and upright. You're going to shift your weight onto one leg. The leg that you have your weight on, the foot's flat, knees slightly soft, and then the other leg you're going to bring out to the side and then back to the start. And when it comes to the leg out to the side, you want to minimize how much pelvis movement you have. So roughly from like 0 to about 45 degrees is normal, and then back to the start. Now, with this one, we're focusing on strengthening the outer part of the hip. So looking at the sets, reps, and time and intensity for this one, this lateral leg lift, sets are 1, repetitions would be 5 per leg. Time, smooth controlled movement with a good stop at the end position, roughly about a second. Intensity is light to moderate. We're really focusing on the outer part of the hip. So looking at hip strengthening, we need to target all different aspects of the hip, not just the easy movements or the movements that you're strong in, but through all directions and all different muscles in the hip. So with this one, we're focusing on the outer part of the hip. Now moving on to the second exercise, this is get-ups from chair. Perfect. So you would use a chair. What we have here is a plyo box, and we're using that as our chair. But you're in the starting position, you're sitting nice and upright, relaxing the upper body, feet are about hip width apart, and then you're going to go from sitting into standing and then back down. Now, if that is too easy for you, you can go with a single leg and back down. And then you can see with Jenna that it ends up being a significant challenge going from that double leg to that single leg. So with the double leg, we're focusing mainly in the forward direction with the movement. We're targeting the hamstrings and the glutes, so the posterior part of the hip. Looking at the sets, reps, time, and intensity, sets are 1, repetitions are 5, time, smooth controlled movement with a quick stop at the end position, and the intensity is light to moderate. We're targeting those hamstrings and glute area, and that's for when you do a bilateral movement or 2 legs. When you go with the single leg, it's more challenging because now you're having to work on the stability of the foot when it comes to side, stability in the knee when it relates to side, but also rotation. And looking at the hip, you work on the stability of the hip. So we're working on strengthening in the forward direction, but we're working on stabilizing the hip on the outer part of the hip, but also working on stabilizing the hip when it comes to rotation. So going from that double leg to the single leg is an excellent step or a progression to work towards. Now moving to the third exercise, this is supine single leg lifts. Good, and back down. So going from the starting position, you're lying on your back, knees are bent, you're going to straighten one leg out, upper body's relaxed, hands are to the side, and you're lifting that leg up, holding it for a second, and then coming back down. Good. So when it comes to sets, reps, time, and intensity for this one, sets are 1, repetitions will be 5 on each leg. Time, smooth controlled movement with a good quick stop at the top position, and the intensity would be moderate or light. Now looking at this one, we're focusing on the front part of the hip, and so it kind of carries over into the quads and the hip flexors that we are targeting with this third exercise. Now moving on to the fourth exercise, leg lifts from the side. Good. So starting off with the starting position, you're lying on your side, you have your hand out front, so in order for your head to rest on something so you can keep good alignment with your spine. Bottom leg is slightly bent in order to prevent you from rotating or not staying in a nice side lying position. And the top leg, you're going to lift up, good, to about 45. Hold it for a second and then come back down. Good, perfect. So with this one, the sets, reps, time, and intensity that you're going to do, sets are 1, repetitions will be 5, time, smooth controlled movement with a good stop at the top position, about a second. Intensity ends up being moderate or to light to moderate, and we're targeting that outer part of the hip. Now moving on to the 5th and final one of the hip strengthening exercises, we're going to do squats with band. So you're going to use a resistive tubing, a little resistive band, just like Jenna has put on. It's just placed above the knees, and I'll get you to go through one repetition, then we'll talk. Okay. So she's put the band on just above the knees. Her feet were initially started together, then she separated them, so she's in a good squatting position, a little bit more than hip width apart, toes out, and then she's going through that squatting movement, squatting down, good, and coming back up. So with the resistive band, it challenges the hip and targets that whole hip area. So looking at the sets, reps, time, and intensity, sets are 1, repetitions would be 5 to start off with. Time, smooth controlled movement with a quick stop at the bottom position, and the intensity ends up being light to moderate. But with this last exercise, it ends up being great because we're targeting the hip, but targeting the hip when it relates to posterior parts, so hamstrings and glutes. And then with the resistive bands, you end up targeting the outer part of the hip and the rotation of the hip. So there you go. That's 5 exercises that you can do to strengthen up your hips. So give those exercises a go. Now, if you're suffering from hip pain and want some of my best tips and tricks when it relates to overcoming hip pain, what I recommend you do is click right here. I have a brand new free report called 5 Tricks to Fight Hip Pain and Tightness. Just click right here. Let me know where to send you that free report, and I'll send you that report right away. Now, if you're watching this on a mobile device, tablet, or smartphone, head down below in the description and click the first link, which will be exercisesforinjuries.com/hips. Let me know where to send you that report, and I'll send you that report right away. Now, if you got benefit from this video, make sure to like this video. If you have a question or comment for me, leave it down below in the comment section. And lastly, hit subscribe to get future pain relieving videos.